Hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? It is August. That makes this officially Texas Chainsaw Massacre month. And for those who didn't know, the reason why August, excuse me, why August isn't, or why August is Texas Chainsaw Massacre month is because the original film takes place August 18th, 1973. That's when the film takes place. The film came out in 1974, but it's supposed to be based on true events. Well, it's marketed as being based on true events, and the events take place August 18th, 1973. But if that were true, when did they film the movie? But everybody already knows that that's just a marketing thing to make it more interesting. And why do I look like I'm on a weird angle? But I'm not. I think it's just my shirt. Motorcycle. Psycho. And now I have a cat biting my leg, so please stop. Thank you. But anyway, yes, I'm going to be watching all the Texas Chainsaw movie films are out there. What is there? 8, 9, 10? I can't even remember now. But I do have them all, with the exception of the most recent one that came out a few years ago, the follow-up one. You know, it's Leatherface versus Influencers. Would probably be the best way to describe it. But anyway, I left the DVD case over there. Now I have to go get it because I'm an idiot. Okay, miss me? Anyway, yes, I will be talking today, 2017's Leatherface, and what I thought about it. Now, I've seen it a few times already, so it's not like it's some new movie I've never seen before, but what I was planning on doing was watching all the movies in the series, from the ones I like the least to... Okay, I know your name's Gunner. You're named after the original Leatherface in the film, but does not mean you can shred my leg. Please stop. Please stop. Thank you. I will feed you in a moment. When I'm done. I'm busy. Anyway, drop this down a little bit. It feels like it. I think that's a little bit better. Anyway, yeah, the idea was to watch them in least favorite all the way up to my very favorite, which is, of course, the original film from 1974. I don't know why I can't talk all of a sudden. And now the cat's just getting into trouble, making all kinds of noise. Yeah, get in the box, stay in the box, and shut up. But after watching this film again, because I remember the first time I watched it, which is this one here, which I already kind of mentioned, but the first time I watched it, I really didn't like it. I thought it, like, I was picturing it for what it actually is supposed to be, which is the backstory for Leatherface. And even now, after watching it, it's probably about the fourth time I've seen it since it come out 3 or 4 times. I still don't buy it as a backstory for Leatherface. It doesn't really make a ton of sense to a certain degree, and I'll explain more of that in a second. But I tried to go into it this time as if it has nothing to do with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Just watch it as a movie. And after doing it that way, I realized it's actually a pretty good movie for a lot of reasons. And I'm not talking about the visuals and everything else that are actually pretty awesome in this movie. There's actually more good things about this movie than bad things, if you take it from that perspective of it not being a Texas Chainsaw Massacre prequel and just sort of being its own standalone film. Then there's a lot of really good stuff about this movie. And so I do take it back that it is the worst movie in the franchise. It definitely isn't. Now, a lot of people say, well, you know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, or whatever it's called. Whatever you want to go. It's got, like, you know, 3 different titles, 2 different titles on that one. The Matthew McConaughey one. And a lot of people say that's the worst. It's up there. But I was thinking that I was calling this the worst just because I really didn't like the back, like that. It just did not seem like Leatherface, a Chainsaw Massacre backstory. But when you watch it just blindly, and if this were to come out as a movie, you take out every Chainsaw Massacre element of this film and just have it ride alone as a movie, and it's a really solid film. The practical effects, I will say, are incredible in this movie. There's a little bit of CGI, I think, for some of the blood splatter, but generally speaking, all the gore, all the cuts, all the stuff that you actually see, the stabbings, it's all practical. and it's done amazingly, which I really appreciate because I will always pick practical effects over CGI, even bad practical effects over good CGI for the most part, just because I appreciate the work that's put into it. But if you take away the beginning of the film, where spoilers in this, take away the beginning of the film, you will, and get rid of where he gets the chainsaw in the beginning, and then turns into, I guess they're making fun of him being a little pussy because he didn't want to kill the guy with the chainsaw because he's like 5 years old or 6 years old or something like that, however old he's supposed to be. Get rid of that part and just sort of give him a different weapon and just make it its own thing, and then change the ending a little bit. Then it's going to be a really good film. It still is, but you have to sort of, for me, just not think of it as being Leatherface and its own character. So it is a solid, really good film for that, which kind of bumped up my personal ratings. So before I would have rated like a 5. Now I kind of put it up to about a 7, just because I rewatching it with a different kind of mentality. It is a really good film, and I do recommend checking it out, but try and watch it blindly. I will say the ending, like how he starts getting the mask idea, you only really, it's right at the very end of the film. It's kind of cool because he gets shot and gets disfigured, and spoiler alert, and the mom sews him all up, which I will say that Lily Taylor, who's pretty much good in everything she's done, is really good in this film. She does play the mother really well. She's not overacting. She's not underacting. She's just doing a really good job. She plays the mother. She stitches them all up and then gives him this sort of leather bondage looking thing that she puts on his face to keep everything in place. And then they sort of shoehorn at the end and making his first mask. And it's kind of like it should be a moment that, from a fan of the original film, fan of the character, you should be going, wow, that's how he got it. But it's just sort of, you just see him sewing it up and holding it up, and then I think he puts it up to his face, and that's sort of it. So it doesn't really go into that too much, which that's why I say if you just look at it as a different film and it ended before that, then it would have been kind of cool. But that I thought was a little bit cheesy, in my opinion. It should have been more of an awesome moment, like when you see him for the very first time doing that, but it's just sort of, okay, yeah, that's how he got his mask, and he just threw it on his face, and credits. But there are things that I do really like about this film too. I do like how they reconstructed the original house, and it looks like the original house. It's in this time they have like they have pigs and stuff, and they're using the pigs to get rid of some of the bodies that they have and the leftovers. They don't get into the cannibalism thing in this film, but they still are killing people and disposing of the bodies. They're not eating them, I guess, at this point. It wasn't like, it'd be a good idea. Why don't we just eat the people? The pigs are all dead, I guess. I don't know, because they don't have any livestock that I remember. No, there's no livestock in the original film, so... But there's signs that there might have been, because they did work in slaughterhouses. There's that, but they weren't like farmers. So anyway, that's sort of going into a little bit of a different direction. I do like the fact that they got Nubbins and Chop Top in the film. He wasn't known as Chop Top yet because, well, he still had the top of his head, but they're not really in there a ton. But they're there serving a purpose. I don't think the actor who played Nubbins, he looked good as Nubbins. Nubbins is the hitchhiker, if for those who don't actually know that. But he, I don't think he was crazy enough. He didn't seem as unhinged or sketchy as Ed Neal was in the original film. But still did a good job, played the role, and I liked the characters. A couple things I didn't like. Like I said, how he got the mask. I think the appearance is supposed to be taking place in the 1960s, but not everybody, but the cops particularly did not look like 1960s police officers. They looked like, here, I gotta pause this for 1 second. Okay, sorry, yeah, where was I? Okay. 5 minutes for me, 0.1 second for you. But Anyway, yeah, Stephen Dorff, one of the cops, played the role well. He's an excellent actor. I like when I see him on screen. He's always good. I have no issues with him. However, he did not look like a cop from the 1960s. They all had scruffy beards, or their haircuts looked very now. Could have been something from the 90s to the early 2000s. Definitely did not look like the 1960s. Um, Appearance, and some of the other people say the same thing. They look too modern, but that's just a nitpick in the film. But there's one thing also I didn't like is if you're taking it from this being something that took place just a few years before the original film, I think that Lily Taylor was a little bit too young to play the grandmother / aunt, whoever she was actually supposed to be. It's a little bit convoluted in this particular, because it is sort of a trilogy now. Like that storyline is a bit of a trilogy. So she looked a little bit too young to be the dead grandma we see in the chair, the mummified grandmother we see in the chair, because even though she's mummified and dead, she looked a little bit like she would be like a 90-year-old woman as opposed to a 50-year-old woman. So, and again, it's just a nitpick thing, just an observation, only because I've seen the original film like so many times. He's always in my videos because why not? And the other thing too, there is the obvious red herring that they put in the film, which I actually do like. And again, there's some aspects about it I don't, but you have the big heavy set guy Bud in the film, who you're supposed to believe is actually going to be Leatherface. He doesn't really talk a whole lot. He's kind of slow, big chubby fat guy. Good character. I do like his character, but it gets your mind going, okay, that's Leatherface, and then it turns out that it's not him. It's the guy that becomes Leatherface, Jackson. That's his name, and he actually turns into Leatherface, and I can't believe that this young fit guy in just a couple years, like in 5 years, would become this 6'4" big, heavy-set giant of a man. He is not even close to being that as big as Gunnar Hansen's Leatherface or the original Leatherface. Like not even close. He could climb inside him and sit in there comfortably, peek through his nipple and go, "You'll be okay," because the size difference is very obvious. And also the thing that throws the red herring thing right in the garbage is all you had to do is look at the poster on your way into the cinema. The guy carrying the chainsaw here is clearly not Bud. This guy is I don't know if it's the same actor, but that's Bud there. Now, I don't know if this is the actor from the film whose name I've forgotten. It's probably on the cover here. No, it isn't. I'm sure it's buried here somewhere in the back. Or if it's just another actor or model they got to carry the saw for the picture. But there is no way that this is turning into Gunnar Hansen size 6'4", however big. I think Leatherface, the original Leatherface, is supposed to be 6'5" with the shoes and everything on. Gunnar Hansen, I think, was close to 6'4" in height, and he was 6'5", 6'6" or something in the movie, because he had like the heeled shoes and made him look big. But no, that's not happening in like 5 years, unless he really started to get some weird growth spurt in his late teens and did a lot of eating. But all in all, it is not a bad film. It was actually Tobe Hooper's. He produced this film, and it was the last film he produced before he died. I think just the same year, I think, or maybe a year. It wasn't too much longer after this. But anyway, yeah, just a little side note in there. But all in all, is it a bad film? No, it's actually a pretty good film. Like I said, I've already said a couple times. Do I think it's a good Texas Chainsaw Massacre film? Not really. Because it just, like everything I said, it just sort of doesn't really fit. It's just, I think in the reboot, I think the beginning, the prequel done with the reboot, sorry, I'm getting all dry here, I think is a much better backstory than this one. So that would be the one I would go with. That would be the preferred backstory in my opinion. But generally speaking, it is a good movie. I do recommend checking it out if you haven't already. And if you did watch it a long time ago or well, if you have seen it already and kind of thought the same thing as me, try watching it again from the perspective of it not being a Chainsaw Massacre film and see what you get out of it that way, because I was like, really changed my perspective on the film when I thought of it from that point of view. Was there something else I was going to say? It is a prequel, obviously, to the original film, and which is part of the same film as Chainsaw 3D. That's what I'm trying to say. It's actually sort of its own little trilogy. Chainsaw 3D is probably what I'll be reviewing tomorrow or the next day, because I'm going to either watch it tonight or tomorrow. I should have watched it before this because it is a much worse film than this one. This has actually gotten higher up in the ranking after watching it again last night. Anyway, if you want to subscribe and help me get up to 1,000 subs, that'd be really appreciated. If you want to comment and talk about this film down below, I mean, I know there's a lot of Chainsaw Massacre fans out there. Tell me if you like this film, if you don't like this film, if you kind of feel the same as me, or if I'm just way off and maybe you have a very different opinion about it. By all means, drop it in the comments. I do like the banter. I will get back to you, especially when it comes to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which the original film I am very passionate about. I do love that movie. And if you want to like and do all that other fun stuff, please do. And I guess this is it, because my pizza's ready. And then until the next one. Bye. I almost forgot my line. I was like, and then what do I usually say at the end of these? I've only done about 1,200 of them. Anyway, thank you for watching, and until the next one. Bye.